Good morning. We are here with Barb Kirkmeyer, who's running for Congress. Hi, Barb. How are you?
Good. I'm doing great. Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you. And thank you for making time for us. And, because it's very important to bring this information to our communities. Tell us a little bit about you.
So I am a fourth-generation Coloradoan. I grew up on a dairy farm in northern Jefferson County. And I come from a pretty modest background. We were poor when I was a kid. So my siblings, I have 6 siblings. My grandmother lived with us. My great uncle lived with us. And we all took care of the farm. That was our job. And I've served as a Weld County Commissioner for 20 years. I did that, served in local government, brought my county to zero debt, led my county to zero debt, lowered taxes, lowered regulations. Also, I've owned a small business for 15 years, so I'm a master florist, and so I know about small business as well. And then recently, I've been a state senator for the last 2 years.
Interested. If you get elected, mention one thing that you will focus first.
I'm going to focus on really the economy and about the inflation and how do we get this debt under control and get the cost of living down for people back to where we can all afford it again, right? We can afford our groceries and afford when we go to the gas station. So my main focus will be really looking at how do we stop this reckless spending, how do we lower the debt, and how do we get our budget balanced.
Aside of that important thing, mention other 3 issues that you will work on.
So I have been talking with the folks back in Washington, D.C., Leader McCarthy, and there is what we call the Commitment to America, and it has 4 strong pillars on it. The first one is, again, it's about the economy and making the economy stronger, and that's where I was talking about that we need to stop the reckless spending, get our budget under control, and get our cost of living back down to where it belongs, get jobs going. Then we also want to work on becoming back to energy independent. Right now we're energy dependent, and we're dependent on places like China and Russia and OPEC, Saudi Arabia. We don't need that. We need to get those jobs back here into Colorado, back here into the United States. And so I'll focus on that as well. It's another part of the commitment and part of what I've been talking about and what I stand for. Also, it's about making sure that our nation is safer. And we do that by securing our border and stopping the flow of fentanyl across our border. That's got to start happening on day one. And we'll look to work to make the government accountable for what they've been doing. Again, back to our border, we've created a national security problem. We've created, well, not we, the Democrats in charge and the majority have created a humanitarian crisis as well. And lastly, the other one is we want to build a country built on freedom, a future that's on freedoms, right? So we will, again, on day one, look to introduce a bill that is called the Parental Bill of Rights that give parents that opportunity, give them the right, not the government, but the parents the right to determine what is the best education for their child.
Yeah, that's a big issue that we need to make a change on that.
Those are the issues that we're hearing at the door as well when we're out. When I'm out walking and talking to folks, that's it. I mean, it's about, God, we got to get this cost of living under control, right?
That's the issues that affect our families, our generations.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right, and especially when you're talking about fentanyl and the overdose and the people not feeling safe in their community. We've got to do these things. So, like I said, on day one, hopefully, if I'm honored to be the first Congresswoman from District 8, we're going to work on it. I've been told, get ready to get busy. Everybody's going to start working hard, and I'm for it. I'm ready to go.
Well, you're up in the numbers.
Yes, it looks pretty decent.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean we're not doing anything this last week before the election. We are pushing very hard. We've got a great ground game. We're out walking, still hitting and knocking doors and talking to people at their door. We're also starting to do phone banking where we'll call people and say, hey, please go get your vote in. It's important, and you only have until next Tuesday, November 8th.
Right, yeah. It's a big date.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Another point, in what way you will help small businesses?
So again, I think it goes back to we need to stop the out of control spending, but we also need to stop all the mandates and the additional regulations that are coming down from the federal government and quite frankly our state government, that the mandates that they put onto onto small businesses. It's just got to stop. And government needs to get out of the middle between the employer and the employee. You know, that relationship is important. And it's important that the employee and the employer know that it's built on trust and a foundation that they have, the people who are working within that business.
Yeah, that's correct. Another very important point that you mentioned is immigration. How we can secure the border?
So first off, and to deal with immigration, because I do think there needs to be some immigration reform. Everybody talks about that, but the first step in reforming immigration is securing the border, is building that wall and making sure that everyone is coming through our front door and not our backyard, right? So that we know who we're having come into our country and that we vet them. So first thing, we've got to secure the border when we talk about immigration reform. And then we need to look at things like the dreamers, the DACA, you know, the kids that were here, you know, not the ones that just came in the last year maybe, they don't get to necessarily move to the front of the line, but, you know, kids that have been here that no fault of their own were brought here, didn't know. And so I think we need to look at that and make sure that we have a process, a fair process that's in place, that they can become American citizens. And then when I was down at the border a couple months ago, visiting in Texas, there was a group of business people that we met with, and their comment is we need to also look to help build the economy in places like in Mexico and El Salvador and Honduras, so that people don't feel like they need to come here, you know, for a job, that they have their opportunities in their own country. So let's look at how can we help build economies in those other countries that border with us, right? And then lastly, I think we need to make sure that we have a fair, rigorous process for our folks that are coming across and want to become American citizens. And it needs to be a place, again, it needs to be fair. We need to look at it. We need to look at our guest worker program, because when I talk to dairy farmers or agriculture producing folks, you know, I mean, because we have a worker shortage here. And we want to be able to get those workers into our country and give them the, you know, opportunity to work here and go after their dream, you know, of living in America and being self-sustaining. So we need to look at our guest worker program and really look at our whole immigration program and see what we can do to, again, make it fair, make it so that people can feel like they can get through it in a timely manner, and make sure that we can have those jobs here and allow people to come here to meet their dreams.
3 things that make you better for this position between you and your opponent.
I think, first of all, it's the fact that, again, I grew up in America that honored and rewarded, you know, values and rewards hard work. I don't think we have that America right now. And that's the America that I want for my grandchildren. So quite honestly, that's why I run for office in the first place. But, you know, when I grew up on a dairy farm, my parents didn't give us a heifer calf when we turned 9 so that we can join 4-H with it. They sold us a heifer calf. And they taught us very early on about debt and how to get out of debt, and that work equaled opportunity. We need to get back to that America. But I think that experience of working, you know, on a family farm, understanding this is what we need to do to make a living as a family and get by as a family. I think that's an important experience that I have, that work ethic, you know, understanding of the working class, if you will, that very strong understanding. I think my background and experience owning a dairy farm and owning a small business gives me that kind of experience where I know how to sign, I know what it takes to have to be able to sign the front of the check, not just the back of the check, right? So I have those kind of experiences that I will bring to the table as well. But then I also think being a county commissioner and a state senator has brought valuable experience. And I also was an executive director of a state department under Bill Owens, Governor Bill Owens. Having that kind of experience, being able to lead my county to zero debt, having a very good understanding of how the programs are implemented, and then how to get to zero debt and then lower taxes, that experience is something that I will bring to the table, and I will push very hard to do the same thing when I get to Congress.
We are just 8 days away from the election. What is the message that you want to send to those that they are undecided? Because some people right now probably they thinking, why vote? No difference.
Yeah, I would say this is a very important election. When you're going to the grocery store and you're seeing empty shelves, or when you're seeing how expensive, groceries are, eggs are, milk is, and then when you have to go fill up your gas tank at the, at the gas station, and you understand how much more it's costing you now than it did 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we didn't have 40-year high inflation. We didn't have this kind of cost of living. 2 years ago, people felt safe in their neighborhood, and we had a secure border. And we were allowing people to come across into America, but we were vetting them, and we knew who was coming across. We didn't have the issue that we have now that we do with fentanyl. It's killing our kids. It's the #1 killer, cause of death across this nation between 18 and 45-year-olds. We didn't have that 2 years ago. We had energy independence. We had great paying jobs. We had people who were able to go work out in the energy industry. We don't have that now. So when you go to fill out your ballot, I want you to think to yourself, am I better off now than I was 2 years ago? And if the answer is no, which I think it is, then I think you should really think about voting Republican, voting for me, Barb Kirkmeyer. I'm running for Congress in Congressional District 8. But it's important that we figure out how we move forward and not keep looking back, that how we get past so that we have, again, an economy that's stronger, a nation that's safer, we build this country on freedom, and that we hold our government accountable.
Well, Barb, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we wish you the best.
Thank you. And I would just say, if folks would like to know more about me, they can go to my webpage. It's kirkmeyerforcongress.com. Again, that's kirkmeyerforcongress.com. And I would love to have your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.